Okay, we're going to look at the third part of the transition midterm review. The first part was the first two modules of review. The second part was the third and fourth module of review. So this one is actually going to cover all of those into just a overall review. So one last look at all these types of problems. So our first question here, write an expression for someone who has a budget of $35 to spend on gas that costs $2.41 per gallon for X amount of gallons. So we have the budget of $35, and then it costs money, so I'm going to subtract your $2.41, and when it's per gallons, it's always multiplication, so times X. Question 2. If X equals 4 and Y equals negative 6, what's the value of that expression? So make sure when you input these in, we're using parentheses because we know negatives squared are going to be positive. And then it's 4 plus 2. So negative 6 squared, 36. And then in the parentheses, 4 plus 2 is 6. So that gives me 30. Next, order of operations, we need to simplify the expression. So I'm going to go ahead and do the bottom first. 3 plus 3 times 2 times negative 2. Because there are parentheses to take care of. Now I see an exponent. So 3 plus 3 times negative 2 over 49. Then I see multiplication, 3 minus 6 over 49. Now we need to take care of the top of the fraction as 1 first, so negative 3 over 49. And then we can't simplify that any further, so we'll just leave it as a fraction, negative 3 over 49. Next question, simplify the expression. So I need to distribute that negative first. 4 minus 10 plus 3x plus 2x. Combine like terms, 4 and negative 10 minus 6, 3x and 2x plus 5x. Alright, the next question here. Given A is greater than B, determine which is larger. So if A is greater than B, is 2A plus B or 2B plus A larger? Well, if A is the larger number, so I'm looking at this guy first, doubling it and then adding B should always be bigger than doubling the smaller number and adding A. So since we're doubling the larger number, 2A plus B is larger. The next one, A is greater than B, so A over B or B over A. In a fraction, if the larger number is on top and the smaller number is on the bottom, then it's going to be a larger number overall. Example, 3 over 1 versus 1 over 3. The larger number on top means it's going to be a larger value overall. So that means A over B is larger. Number 6, solve the following equations. So our first guy here, we want to distribute the 3 out. 3x minus 12 equals x plus 1. Go ahead and solve that. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides. 2x minus 12 equals 1. Add 12 to get 13. Add 12, add 12. 2x equals 13. So when I divide by 2, I should get x equals 13 over 2. The next one is a proportion, so I'm going to go ahead and cross multiply. I'm going to take, let me zoom in here, that times that times that, so 4 times x plus 2, and set that equal to 16 times 2, so 32. Distribute to get 4x plus 8 equals 32. Subtract 8, 4x equals 24. Divide 4, x is 6. Next, solve the equation for m. So to solve for m, in other words, get m by itself, I want to get rid of the minus p first, so I'm going to add p to both sides. L m equals n plus p. Now to solve for m, I divide by L because that's being multiplied. So I can just write it as m equals n plus p all over L. So our next question here, if a cell phone cost $457, that should be dollars, and 92 cents after tax, the tax rate is 6.5%. What's the price of the cell phone before the tax? So the equation I want to use here is our total cost equals the initial times 1 plus whatever that rate is, 1 plus r. So we know what? We know the total cost is $457.92. We're solving for our initial, and then we know 1 plus the rate. Remember, we need to convert that to a decimal. So you move that over 2 spots to get 0.065. So that's what I'm going to put in here, 0.065. So we've got 457.92 equals I times 1.065, and then to solve for I, we can just divide by the 1.065. So our initial $429.97 initial before tax. Okay, next one. If a recipe calls for 2 teaspoons of salt for every 1/2 cup onion, how much onion would you need if you use 5 teaspoons of salt? So I'm going to use a proportion here. So a fraction equals a fraction, where I have the teaspoons of salt on top. So 2 of salt, onion on bottom, 1/2 cup onion. So then the next one is 5 teaspoons of salt for how many cup onion? I'm going to go ahead and cross multiply. 2x equals 2.5, or let's say 5/2. Make it a fraction. So then divide both sides by 2. X equals 5 over 4, or 1 1/4 cup onion. Okay, our next question, find the perimeter, find the area. So remember, perimeter is add up all the sides, find the sum of all the sides. So let's see if I got all these sides here. I know I'm going to start on the bottom, 1.2 plus, this should be 6.4, that's the same as the other side, plus 5.6 plus 6.4 plus 0.8 plus, that's 5.8 plus, well, this side, I'm going to label it in red. This red side should be 5.6, and then you're taking away 1.2 and you're taking away 0.8. So 5.6 minus 1.2, and then subtract 1.8 from that as well, or 0.8, I'm sorry. You should get 3.6. So this is 3.6. And then your last 5.8. So we're going to find all the sum of this. We're going to say 1.2 plus 6.4 plus 5.6 plus 6.4 plus 0.8 plus 5.8 plus 3.6 plus 5.8. I got a total perimeter 35.6 centimeters. Now our area, I'm going to erase all this. We want to chop it up into rectangles here. Because we know the area of a rectangle is base times height. So I'm going to say, we already said this was 3.6. Let me leave that. I'm going to say, here's 3 rectangles. So the area is rectangle 1 plus rectangle 2 plus rectangle 3. Well, rectangle 1 is base times height of 1.2 times, that's 6.4. Number 2 is going to be 3.6 times, well, what's that little height here? This little height in blue? Well, it's 6.4 minus your 5.8. 6.4 minus 5.8 is 0.6. That's this little height right there. Last, 6.4, or 0.8 times 6.4. And we're just going to find that calculation. So the first one is 7.68. I'm going to multiply the next one, 2.16. I'm going to multiply the last one, 5.12. Sum those together. 14.96 centimeters squared. Okay, the next one are the relations of function. Well, I can use the vertical line test, VLT, vertical line test here, to show that it crosses at 2 points on this function. Remember, the vertical line test, if it crosses the function more than once, it is not a function. And then the next one, we need to make sure every x goes to one y. So negative 2 goes to a y, 0 goes to a y, 4 and 5. That means a yes. They all go to their own y. This is a function. The next one, we need to write an equation. Remember the equation, y equals mx plus b. So our b value is negative 1. Our slope is going to be, if I start at negative 1, I go down 2, I go right 1 to get to my next point. So negative 2 over 1, or just negative 2x minus 1. Our next question is 110 a point on the graph? Well, we can just test it. We can test it. If I plug in 1, if I plug in 1, does it give me 10? So does 10 equal, 9 times 1 is 9, plus 1 is 10. So we're going to say, yes, that is a point on our graph. And the last two is find the volume of the figures below. So to find the volume of the first one, we've got the volume of a cone, is 1/3 pi r squared h. So that means our volume is 1/3 pi, r is 12, and then h is 4. So I'm just going to go right to a calculator, and I'm going to plug this in. So I've got, let's see, 1/3 times pi times 12 squared times 4, and I got a volume of 603.19 units, and that's cubed because it's volume. Units cubed. The next one, find the surface area for the sphere. The surface area formula for a sphere is 4 pi r squared. So really all we need is the radius here, and the radius is 12. I can just jump right to a calculator and calculate 4 pi times the radius squared, 1809.56, and that's centimeters cubed.